Welcome to the Marble Sports Worldwide podcast, where we discuss your favorite marble sports. We bring you in-depth analysis of each event across many different marble sports competitions. Catch all the information and drama you want to hear about your favorite players, teams, events, and more right here on the MSW podcast. Hello everybody and welcome to the Marble Sports Worldwide podcast. My name is Brendan and today is a big day in marble sports, at least a big day in Marblelympics, as today, or at least a couple days ago, was the end of the fan-made competition that has been going on for almost a month now, where the fan-made teams would create, fans would create their own teams, submit them, and advertise them using things like the Twitter and Reddit page, and try to gain votes and see which top two teams will get the top two votes to make it into the 2019 Marblelympics B League, or now they call it Marblelympics Showdown, which I don't like as much, but that's a different discussion. And it was a battle. Went from 32 teams down to 28, down to 21. Before the first vote even happened. First vote brought it down to 8 well-qualified teams, as I discussed in the last episode. And now this last vote here brought it down to the top 2. And we have a special guest with us today. Special guest. The owner of one of the top 2 teams. And I'll say the top 2 teams here. The top 2 teams are the Hornets and the Turtle Sliders. Great teams. I kind of expected them to win. I did expect a few others to win. I thought the Red Pandas had a great shot. I thought the Woodland Foxes had a great shot. But it was all very close. The Red Pandas actually only 30 votes out of second place, which was held by the Turtle Sliders, and first was held by the Hornets. And they could not make it on the podcast today because our special guest today is the winner, the second place finisher of the competition, the owner of the Turtle Sliders, and we're going to have him on here in just a moment. And we couldn't have the Hornets on here, but they did prepare a very small statement that I can go through right now, actually. They said, what did they say? They said to me that they congratulate all participants for the great contest that we had, and that and they are thrilled to be a part of this year's Marblelympics Showdown. So it's nice of them to at least offer congratulations to the other teams, and they really pulled it. Impressive team, pulled a lot of votes. And now to our interview with the owner of the Turtle Sliders. Hello? And we got the owner and creator of the team, the Turtle Sliders, on the podcast today, second place finisher in the fan-made team contest. How are you doing today?
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm doing pretty good. It's getting late over here on the other side of the ocean, but still pretty stoked that we actually made it in second place. When I signed up, I didn't think I would get this far, but here we are.
Yeah. Congratulations to you, first of all, man. That was a very, very impressive victory. And if you don't know the Turtle Sliders or their team, you can go take a look at their team and their logo and their player names all at marblesports.com, where we can see their logo here. Very nice looking turtle, along with the Hornets, the other winner. And how did you come up with this team? What was the thought process behind this team?
Well, basically, when I first read about the fan-made teams and the contest, at first I was thinking about a team based on foxes, because foxes are pretty cool animals.
Yeah.
But there already was the Woodland Foxes. It was the first team I saw on the Reddit. So I was thinking, what else could I do? And I just came up with turtles because they're pretty cool. I swam with them once in the ocean.
Oh,
And
wow.
thinking, yeah, turtles, they are pretty cool. So in my mind, then I had this picture of, because the Marblelympics, there's a lot of racing, and I was thinking in my mind, I had this picture of a turtle that's sliding on its belly down the sand, and sand is splashed
Yeah,
away, and that's why I was thinking about a turtle that's sliding, and I was like, it's sliding, so like a skater that is skating, it's a skater. So I was thinking, oh, sliders, they are like turtle sliders, and I thought the name, it sounds, there have been mixed opinions. Some thinking it makes no sense, but some think, it's pretty cool. So
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
also on the opinions have been mixed, but I'm on the side. It's I like the name, and yeah. So I basically then on Reddit I was looking for someone that could help me create the logo, because I was thinking, if you want to get in there, like, you need a cool name, you need a nice looking marbles, and you need a good logo. These are the three
Definitely.
things that people will notice first. And yeah, luckily I got in touch with someone that's really good at what he does. So
Yeah, yeah, I see the logo here. You have like the very nice looking turtle with the name, and then you have like that background, which is like a faded version. It kind of pulls it all together. That's a really nice logo, and you even have your marble design um,
yeah,
right below, which was really cool.
yeah. At first I was thinking about actually using green marbles, but all those marbles were really close to the Limers or Team Momo. So
Yeah, or the jungle jumpers. Yeah,
exactly the green ones, it's hard to find a design that's usable. And yeah, so I went with the blue ones, and they actually look pretty good. So
I like them. Yeah,
at first wasn't too sure about them, but then when I saw them a few more times, I'm like, they look pretty good.
yeah,
And
they
I
do. Because
and I sent him the picture of the marbles and told him these colors should be in the logo, and he actually put them all themselves in. That's pretty cool. And yeah, that's the first thing to I had, and basically there I came up with some stories for the uh, athletes, and
hmm
joined the Discord.
right.
And yeah,
Yeah, I saw many of your social media posts, which were very good. They were pretty well made, especially compared with some of the other good content we were getting from these
yeah,
other teams.
uh,
I'm looking here at the logos and things on the both of the winners, the you and the Hornets, and it's nice to see, you know, because you guys had very different logo approaches, right? The Hornets went with a very simplistic style. They just had almost, if you really break it down, their logo is like five shapes in a very nice looking design, and yours is more of like a more detailed logo, which I think is really cool. It has the difference there. I also really do like your marbles because, especially after you explained the reason behind your name, like you swam with turtles, and you can imagine them sliding, and like you were in the ocean, and you kind of get that ocean feel. The marbles kind of have like an ocean color, and then you have like the stripes of green running through, which I thought were really cool. They kind of almost like look like especially now you think of it, like an ocean with turtles like running through with the stripes on the blue, which I think is really cool.
true. That's it's actually really fitting for the team. Yeah, the first
Yeah.
one I probably wouldn't have been as good. We was pretty close to Team Momo, and yeah,
Mhm.
also Hornets. I agree with you. Totally different, but I really like them. When I first saw the teams, they have been favorites of mine from the start. It's
Yeah,
just
the Hornets were even one of my favorite. They really did a good job, in my
from
opinion.
the start of it, like the name and the logo. It's very simple, but it works really well, I think. And also the work he put in with all these photoshops and the background information he put out was pretty amazing. So he
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
is the first
Sometimes, you know,
place.
simple does
It's
the job sometimes, and then sometimes detail does the job, which is a good example both here. But yeah. I mean, their marbles. I mean, their marbles are really nice. I don't know if you can if you're
yeah,
looking at them on the Marble
it's
Sports page, but like just that they I guess they did a good job keeping it like different enough from teams like the Bumblebees, because the Bumblebees are more of a yellow marble, but they kept it more like black with yellow stripes, which was, you know, just enough. to differentiate, which was nice. And you were about to talk, I heard before, about your social media posting and stuff. Why don't you talk a little bit more about that? Like, what were you thinking about? How are you going to present this, and how are you going to get your team word out?
Yeah, at first I don't know if you noticed that or read that. When I started off, I made this the first post on Reddit I made was I was throwing a lot of pop culture references in there because I was thinking it's fun. I like
Right.
Turtles, and Ninja Turtles, and whatever. And because back then on Reddit I didn't read, I hadn't the exact rules that were talked about in Discord, like make sure you mention nothing that's been used anywhere else. And so at
Right.
first, when I joined there, everyone was already pretty furious about me, and so I had to make sure to get on everyone's good side, delete that stuff, and make something that's more unique, so to speak. And
Right. Yeah, and you
yeah,
did do a good
so
job with that. And if I just could jump in for a sec, because
sure.
I mean, I think one of the biggest problems with this contest and the whole community of the contest, not the Marblelympics itself, but of the contest, is what you just said. Because you came in and you said you didn't really know the rules of the Discord or know the rules of the fan made team competition, and they weren't really set out. And then you posted something like that, and people were like furious just because of that, which is something I actually saw many teams, or at least a couple teams, dropped out because of the reactions like that, even though people weren't even really knowing. There wasn't even really a rule set created yet, and the moderators were working tirelessly trying to create rules and create different regulations on the contest. And then like you'd see a lot of members just get furious because you did something they didn't like, and like start drama and things like that, which is teams like the Gold Standard and the Monarchs were affected by that, if you remember them. And it's just it's good that you were able to overcome that and delete the post and move on. And actually, you obviously gained a lot of favor within the community, both in the community of the contest and the Discord, and also, of course, outside. But it is something that kind of affected this competition, was the attitudes of some of the people.
Yeah, I think it's basically. I think a lot of these rules, when they first started, they didn't know that these could be problems or this will be problems they encounter, and they made it on as they went along. And I just think on Reddit, G and Mel, they did a pretty good job. Like when I posted that, I think G-ism is his name on Reddit. I'm not sure.
Yeah, G, I know.
He was
He's one of
the
the moderators for those who don't know.
Yeah. He was one of the first ones to inform me that they like everything looks good, but I should change that this and that. And basically then I got in contact with them, and they were like happy to inform me, and I was talking to them, oh, what can I use, what should I change? And they were doing a pretty good job about that. And yeah, but I think, of course, because many fans that are involved, they don't want people to break the rules, and I think some of them it just got heated up a bit too much. But I think that's also the case that some of the creators were taking it a bit too hard, like
Exactly.
yeah. So basically for me it was like, oh, I should change that. Oh, I guess my bad, because I could have thought of that before or joined the Discord beforehand. So I just changed it, and it worked pretty well. But some others, I think they took it too personal if something was mentioned like
absolutely,
that.
Absolutely. I was seeing that.
And
yes.
also some people just took it too far, because too far in the first message, and they were
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that when you have community members creating something. Especially a contest, things can get heated.
Absolutely, because of the competition, right? And like people say, "Oh no, I'm just trying to keep the Discord or the contest clean and fair," but people do get that spirit of competition. And I understand exactly what you're saying. Why can't you just be told what not to do and then not do it? Why do people have to jump down your throat at the littlest of things? Which is another discussion about the fan made contest, but it's hard to really completely get upset because first time doing a contest, hard to really get all the rules and regulations out, hard to really People, especially in the first contest, people all heated and all into the competition. So,
And I
but I
think
definitely saw what you're saying. Yeah.
most of it worked in the end, worked out pretty well, I think. Like, there were some hiccups at first, but I think basically after the first round of submission, I know that Monarchs and Gold Standard dropped out after that, but I
Yeah.
still think after the first submission phase, things were running pretty smooth. There were maybe some internal things like in the Discord when two team owners were discussing things,
Right.
but
Yeah.
overall, like talking just from the contest point of view, things worked really well. Then I think that was handled pretty good. It's just the start. At the start, there were some things they had to figure out how to run them properly, and they did a pretty good job. So props to them, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. But absolutely. They did a good job gaining control after a while with the difficulties of the start of the contest. Like I feel once the first voting round started and that whole thing had started, I think at that point we were doing okay. A lot of teams were very less. A lot of team creators were very less. You know, seem angry in the Discord. It just seemed like we had more control of all the contest creators and things like that. I mean, at the start, at least compared to the start, I think there are a few improvements that could be made, but they did a great job from the start of the competition to the voting, getting the control of all the different creators. I didn't think they expected this many creators. I mean, there were 32 teams at first, and then it quickly went to 28. But I mean, a lot of teams coming out at first, and that they probably expected at most 15, probably around 10 or even less. But they got almost 2 to 3 times what they were expecting, which was probably a little bit overwhelming at the time.
Yeah, and also I think they didn't expect so many teams to be that involved that much, because at Reddit for a while there's been only posts about fan-made teams, and everyone was trying to interact with each other and get the information about the teams out. So there's been a lot going on, and there's been a lot to check, because when you post that stuff, they obviously have to check if everything is okay in terms of the rules and that stuff. So there's been a lot going on, and I think at first it was like, yeah, everyone submit your team. And before they even looked at every team, if everything is okay, if something is missing, people were already posting stuff and creating stuff. And I think that was just more fan created stuff than they did expect at that point.
Yeah, a lot of confusion at first, definitely. With because people were like posting Twitters. People had Twitters, Instagrams, Reddits, all like a million different social medias before he even approved all the teams, which was, it created some confusing situations, created a very fast moving situation too. I think they did move back a couple of dates, to make earlier a couple of due dates, because it was just going so quick. So
I think if it was, my logo was done only last second, I think. So if they went with the first date, they probably would have been too late to actually join the contest. So I got lucky there.
Yeah, they did, and it's good that it came out okay. I think the general community is pretty happy with the winners, and it's good to see that in the end it came out well. And I'm very excited, even more excited than being in the contest or seeing the people be in the contest. I'm excited to see these two teams compete in the real Marblelympics, the real Marblelympics showdown, which is just very, very exciting that two teams made by fans who have been just watching for a long time come in here and can actually compete on his channel, which is just very exciting. And speaking about that, from your team's perspective, as you go into this competition, is there anything specific that you'd be training for? And especially, are there any teams, other teams you'd be facing that you're worried about or excited to be competing with?
Worried about is hard to say, but I'm pretty excited to actually meet Team Momo. They have been one of my favorites, basically, since the incident where they had to team up with Primary and form Team Momary. Since then, Momo has been one of my favorite teams. So I'm pretty excited to meet them. And also, I'm looking forward to competing against the Hornets because, like, they have been our brother in arms in the contest, and it's pretty cool that now they're both there. And I just really hope that one of these two teams. Obviously, I would prefer if it's the Turtle Sliders, but if it's the Hornets, it would be okay too. If one of these two teams makes it to the Marblelympics, the main event, so that would be pretty cool to basically see the team where you've seen the first posts and how they were coming up with the background story to actually be there and compete at the highest level. That would be pretty cool, I think. So I'm cheering for my team, obviously, and for the Hornets.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Also, as you can tell by my team name, I'm a huge fan of like animal-based teams. It's just like I think it's fitting that there are some of them in there, like the Green Ducks, for example. It's like something that's easy to relate to, I think, because
absolutely, yes.
That's why I think I did pretty well, and also why so many animal teams like Red Pandas or the Foxes got to the second voting, because it's something that people can easily relate with. Like, oh, foxes, I like foxes, they're pretty cool. Or, oh,
exactly, yeah,
pandas, they're cute. And I'm no different, so I'm also like cheering on the Green Ducks, for example, or the Bumblebees. These are all teams I like very much.
Right, yeah, I totally understand that ability to relate with certain teams, and that's why I was surprised at like why the teams like Knights in the Round made that first voting cut, because I was like there's a lot of teams like Red Pandas, that are usually relatable to, and while I think Knights of the Round is a great team and it was a great idea and a unique idea, I was just a little surprised that the general community, only being able to really see the name of the team and the logo before voting, went with them over some other animal or more general themed teams is all, which was
I think why they might have been pretty high up there is because they were so different to many other teams. Because we had, if you're talking about animal teams, there's been so much, and the votes obviously have been spread out. There's been voting for me, for Red Pandas and Foxes and all the other teams, but there's no other team that was like the Knights of the Round. They were very unique in their approach. So while many people probably were thinking, oh, that's not for me, but for the people that can relate to that, they were the only team like that. So yeah, I think they found their niche, and that's why they managed to get there. And I'm pretty happy for them actually, because to be honest, like at first when I saw the logo and the name, and I wasn't sold on it at first, but interacting with the owner, he has been really nice on Discord, and he has done a really good job to keep out of all the drama, to not set up anyone. And yeah, he did a good job, was really nice, and was always happy to chat with him. So I was happy for him that he made it, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the second round, sadly, it wasn't enough for the actual Marble Showdown, but I was really happy to see him in the top 8 because, yeah, I think he also on social media he did a good job, and yeah.
Yeah, he was actually.
I really liked him.
He was actually one of the teams that was that didn't really have any big drama, and he did have good content, and he did have a good idea, which is true. And I'm going to give him credit while I'm thinking about it here. I mean, I guess I'm giving a little shout out to him, and other two teams that come to mind on this are Red Pandas and Woodland Foxes, and there are others, but these are the three that stick out to me as teams that the creators and the teams themselves did not create a lot of drama. They did not cause any contention within the Discord, really, or within the community the fan made. And those three teams actually do stick out to me as teams that were very, just kind of nice to everyone, no matter what was going on. So big shout out to those three, at least. I'm sure there are others. There definitely are others. but those are the
there have
three
been
that
so
stick
many
out to
teams.
me
There are
in
a
particular.
bunch. Yeah. But as I said,
And of
that's
course,
why
yours was very. You seemed
I was
very, very calm through the whole thing, which was nice to see as well.
I was really trying. There's been even like there have been people in Discord like criticizing me for whatever. Like even if it happened, I'm like, yeah. Like even if I read it and then first I'm like, oh, I'm furious and thinking why did he said it? I wasn't, but like even if I were, I was like, let it sink in at first and then just respond, because like there's no sense in getting worked up about that, and most of the time it's been valid concerns, or we could just talk about it. I'm like, oh, that's X, Y, and Z was the reason why I did that, and then okay, no, that makes sense, and then you would just move on, and yeah. No, I think that's why the owner of Knights of the Round really stood out to me. Even if when people were discussing on Discord, he was always trying to sort things out with them, and
he did, yes.
trying to calm everyone down. So yeah, he did a good job there. So yeah, shout out to him. He's a really great guy.
Shout out to him. I think his name is Ramirez, at least in the Discord. So in Discord, Ramirez, big shout out to you and your team. Good luck next year should you compete. From both of us here, Brendan and the creator of the Turtle Sliders, which I don't think I've caught your name. What is your name?
Yeah.
You want to share your name? Lucas?
Yeah.
Okay, his name is Lucas. So Brendan and Lucas, big shout out to you, Ramirez, and your team. Just one final question here. I want to ask, as just at least talking more specifically about your team, is as far as strengths and weaknesses, should I assume that you guys are more skilled in water events or more skilled in speed racing? I mean, what am I thinking with events and weaknesses here? I mean, strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, strengths and weaknesses. Strengths, water-based events, obviously. That's where we have home field advantage. You would think about the same thing about oceanics.
Right, yeah, the oceanics are quite a...
But I hope it will be better for us, because that's where we should be good at. And I hope we should also be more resilient to injuries than Team Momo, for example. So anything where it can get a little bit rough, that should be an advantage for us, because we can, with our shells, we should be able to withstand that.
Yeah, I would think you guys have a little more
resilience,
body strength there.
Yeah, if it's about speed, then we might need to work a little bit harder. We are turtles after all. Turtles can be pretty quick, but Yeah,
it really depends on the environment they're in, obviously.
Exactly.
If they're sliding, they can go quite quick, but probably the more like events where you have to self-create your speed as opposed to sliding along is probably going to be more difficult for you.
Exactly, yeah.
Like maybe in the high jump and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. High jumping is probably something where we will have a pretty rough time, but if it's just like converse your speed and, try to carry it along as far as possible, that's what we should have an edge over some other teams.
Oh, I do have one more final thing I am curious about. I mean, just obviously there's a lot of veteran teams, a lot of very competitive teams in the Marblelympics, and you're faced with the thousands of fans in the stands. You're faced with very boisterous fan bases, like the Limers, who cause disruptions in the qualifiers, throwing debris in the field. So you at all worried or feeling the pressure of the fans, of the fan bases of teams like the Limers that sometimes cause disruptions? Or are you guys all cool about that?
Oh, of course. If I would say that this doesn't affect us at all, I would obviously be lying, because performing in front of a crowd like that can be quite well, how should I put it? It can be you can get scared if there's this big of a crowd. But also I think we are really trying, because the creators of these fan teams and all the people that voted for us put so much belief in us. I'm hoping there will be a big crowd cheering us on as well, and we can use that momentum to to perform better than we have ever before. So while it can be a bit scary to perform in front of such a big crowd for the first time, I think we hopefully will be able to use that to fuel us and to gain an advantage over the other teams, because we know that there's these fans and the other fan team creators behind us.
Right. Yeah, because you have your fans too.
Yeah, but, and there's also
try to use that pressure to propel you as opposed to stop you. All right.
And that's like one last thing. That's like where the fan teams, I think they really, really came together. Where when you were talking to them, many were saying, "Yeah, I hope I win or this team wins." But even if someone else wins, they will have my support because of we all come from the same place. Basically, we have the same origin. So I think that's really cool. So I think that we, the Turtle Sliders and the Hornets, already have a decent fan base actually before we ever started an event. So that's a big plus for us, I think, to have that support behind us.
Yeah, I am excited to see you guys compete, and I know you have a lot of fans, and I think you're going to get a lot of support during this Marble Showdown. And I hope you guys definitely advance as well as the Hornets. So I mean,
thank you.
Good luck to you guys, and thank you for coming on here. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking. Thank you for letting us know how you came up with all this. And before you go, is there any final thing you'd like to say to the listeners and the fans out there?
One final thing. I don't know. I just sporting events. Emotions can get heated up. Just remember that the fun and the positivity of it all should be the center of it. And enjoy the videos, have a good time, and cheer us on, of course. Yeah, but yeah, thanks for having me, and yeah.
All right, thanks for coming on, and good luck to you guys in the Marble Showdown.
Thank you.
All right, we will see you there.
Hopefully, yeah. See you soon.
See you, man.
And that was the Turtle Sliders owner, Lucas. And like I just said, I'm excited to see them compete in the Marblelympics Showdown, or as I would like to call it, the Marblelympics B-League again. B-League, to me, is a better name than Showdown. But either way, I'd like to see them compete. I'd like to see both of these teams, both the Hornets and the Turtle Sliders, see how they're going to deal with the pressure of these other competitors and the pressure of these fans, thousands of fans, thousands watching them. And when you have all those eyes on you, it can sometimes get really difficult out there in the playing field, and it's going to be interesting to see them deal with the pressure and deal with all of the difficulties of being at such a high competition with such high viewing, and high noise level, and fans that could throw things on the track any minute and just mess up everything, as happened to Team Primary in the qualifiers when the Limers threw the debris on the field. Still, controversy is out on that. In any event, as we transition here from this great interview with Lucas to the rest of our podcast, I do want to mention a couple things. First of all, please look out and be aware of our upcoming information segment, which will be a mini podcast, you could call it, or just a short recording, which will discuss a lot of the information, as in the name of the podcast, things like how you could maybe become a guest on the podcast, how fan engagement works. We want to engage the fans as much as we can, and we have a lot of plans for that. All our social media sites, things like that. So look out for that. We'll probably just call it information segment mini podcast. So look out for it. It will come out, and you can take a look and hear all our plans for the upcoming episodes of the podcast. As well, and this is very important here, we have an email now. MSW Podcast has an email. Our email is mswpodcast@gmail.com. And why is this important? Well, this is how we hear from you. This is one of the ways, at least at first, that we can hear from you on the podcast. We encourage you to email that email one more time, mswpodcast@gmail.com. And you can send us questions. You can send us suggestions. You can send us just things you want us to say on the podcast. We might say them. You can just talk about anything. We want to hear anything you have to say. And we have other ideas for fan engagement segments and things like that to get your love for marbles, marble sports, and your thoughts on the situations out on the podcast, so everyone can hear about those. So you got an idea, you got something you want to be said, you got a question, you got a suggestion, please email mswpodcast@gmail.com. The one other thing, information-wise, is this podcast, as it's been on SoundCloud here, the past episode and the sneak peek were both on SoundCloud only, but now I'm recording on this app called Anchor Podcasts, and this Anchor Podcast app also posts my podcast on Anchor Podcast app, so you can now listen on Anchor Podcast apps, should you rather listen there. Also, Anchor Podcast app has a very interesting feature called voice messages. So if you go to the podcast on this Anchor Podcast app, you can send us a voice message, anything you want. Of course, if we like it, we'll put it on the podcast, or at least talk about it on the podcast. Again, probably similar to the email, suggestions, ideas, questions, anything you want. You can record, you can send it in. Please try to keep it clean. Please try to keep it positive, but you can send anything in. And we might even put it in the podcast, because we can take that and put it in our podcast, or we can just talk about it if we like what you have to say. So that is our probably first way. We would attempt to do things like call-ins. So, with the email and the voice messages, we might begin to do things like a weekly question that we'll pick the top answers from, should you guys like things like this. So all that's in the works. Information mini episode will come out probably after the third episode or before the third episode, probably within the next week or two, discussing all the upcoming ideas. With that said, and the email and all that said, we can talk about the friendly round, Marblelympics friendly round. Also happened about a month ago, very close to the time that the qualifiers happened. The Marblelympics often, and again this year, did a friendly round. And what this means is there are 4 teams that are automatically qualified for the 20 I forgot the year, what is wrong with me, 2019 Marblelympics, or any Marblelympics. So from the last Marblelympics to 2018 or any before that, whoever the top 4 teams were are automatically qualified for the next Marblelympics. And of course, if you're the host team, you are also automatically qualified because, well, you're hosting the event. In this case, our top 4, which was very interesting, by the way, our top 4 from the 2018 Marblelympics was the Midnight Wisps, as we know, won, and I'm going to talk about them more in a second. The Savage Speeders, who we know have won, they won 2016, I believe. They won that first Marblelympics, and they have been performing at the top ever since. The Oceanics got 3rd, and they are also the hosts. And the Rangers, who placed 4th. Also, they won the 2017 Marblelympics, and they are a team to look out for. Now, my overrated, underrated for the week. I want to do this segment as much as I can. I'll probably try to do it all the time. It's not really a segment, it's more like a comment. But an overrated, underrated each week would be really fun, where I pretty much what that means, if you don't know, is that I say something that's either overrated that I think or underrated that I think is underrated. And that fits into right now because I think the Midnight Wisps are so underrated as a team. I do. I think they're very underrated. I mean, everyone knows the Savage Speeders. I mean, I know a lot of people hate on them because they're a very edgy team. They are. And everyone knows the Rangers. Everyone most people know and respect the Oceanics as a top team. But the Midnight Wisps, you never hear people talk about them. I rarely hear their name. They won last year's Marblelympics. They should be the most popular. I mean, they're the recent winners. They have performed at the top for a while. I mean, especially in this Marblelympics, this past one. I mean, they continue to show good work. I mean, and they're just not talked about. I mean, and they're my underrated here for the week, absolutely. Because I just don't hear them. I never hear them. For all that they do, all the wins that they've gotten, they even won 2018 Marblelympics, where the competition just keeps raising every year. So the 2018 Marblelympics has been the toughest Marblelympics to win out of all the three. So I don't understand why they're never talked about. I mean, I encourage you guys to, whether you want to be a Midnight Wisps fan or not, to just at least mention them. They are the winners, and they are definitely the underrated of the week. Am I going to do an overrated? I don't know. I don't need to. Probably just do one of these. I mean, if I were to do an overrated, because I just have an overrated in mind at this point, Rangers memes are way overrated, and I may do a little more talk on this later. Or in a different episode about Rangers memes and memes in general in the community. But Rangers memes, some of them are funny. And they have a catchy thing with the O thing that you can hold out forever. And you know what? I'm just spur of the moment right now. Here's if you guys want to use the voice message thing on the Anchor Podcast app, if you submit a voice message on the Anchor Podcast app, the weekly challenge, the weekly fan thing is, you see how long you can hold your O for the O Rangers. Spur of the moment, just thought of it. I'm just going to roll with it. That's the challenge. The longest O or the funniest O or both will be played next episode, episode 3, which will come out in 1 to 2 weeks from when this comes out. So, spur of the moment. All you have to do is you download Anchor Podcast app, you go to the MSW podcast, you just type in MSW podcast, you pull it up, I don't know, you may have to like it or favorite it, I don't know, and then you can click on send voice message, and there you go. See how long you can hold that out. I just think that would be really cool to feature here on the podcast. I know a lot of people like the Rangers, and that, like I was saying, what goes into it's very catchy, but and if you guys want, if I get enough requests in email or whatever, I will see how long I can hold my O. I know a friend who was able to do it for over 30 seconds, which is, it's a respectable time. So we'll have to see about that. But for now, let's get back to what I was talking about before, which was Marblelympics friendly round. Yes, let's remember this. So anyway, that's my overrated Rangers memes, and that's only because you posted a Rangers thing on the Reddit, whether it be a great meme, which like I said before, sometimes they are, or if it not be a great meme, it just all automatically gets like 300 upvotes. Like every time I see a Rangers content, even if sometimes it's really funny, sometimes it's really not that good, it's like 300 upvote automatic. I mean, probably because it's one of the most it is the most popular team in the Marblelympics, but it's just like, come on guys, I mean, being judged on content. I've seen good memes that are not Rangers related, but are either good Marblelympics memes or good Marblelympics team memes if they're not a Rangers, like Limers or something. And they get like 30 upvotes, but they're just as if not funnier than some of these Rangers memes. All I'm saying is choose your content wisely. I mean, don't just upvote something because it has your favorite team on it. Like, look at the content. Because, like, think about it. I mean, if the Rangers meme is bad and then you upvote it, then you're almost insulting your team because you're like, oh, I like this content that's bad about this team. So just be careful. I mean, I'm not saying anything about any team. I'm just saying that happens to be the most popular team. And even if, like, I may do a little challenge thing in the future. I don't know, you guys write in, tell me what you think about this. Just as like a funny thing, I might do a post where all I do is like type with the word Rangers in like a bad font on like Google Docs or something, screenshot it and then post it on the Reddit and and like guess how many upvotes we'll get just because it says Rangers. And like comments and stuff. That would be really funny. So I know you could also tell me if you want me to do that, but I think just to prove a point on this, and I'll talk more about the memes at a different episode probably. Anyway, back to the friendly round of the Marblelympics, because we should go through this. Only 4 teams, top 4 teams. Midnight Whisper first, Savage Beaters second, Oceanics third, Rangers fourth. Was the placement in the 2018 Marblelympics. They all get to compete in the friendly round. Unexpectedly and very coincidentally, all the Midnight Wisp, Savage Beaters, and Rangers have all won of Marblelympics. And Oceanics happen to be the hosts, so it's interesting that we see all 4 of them at the top there. So, how did they do? This was a quite interesting friendly round. It was obviously very competitive. These teams are the top teams. These teams are the teams to be scared of. Like when teams go out there like Turtle Sliders or like the Green Ducks, even a little more applicable to this season, those are the teams to be scared of. Those are the teams, if they're in your heat, you got to be like, deep breath, because they will beat you. They will beat you. All right, and they were pretty good in that friendly round, I gotta be quite honest. First event, the funnel spin. I mean, easily, the Oceanics, who actually won the first event, the funnel spin, broke the record time set in the heats of the funnel spin in the qualifiers and had a 1:45.64 instead of a 1:44. But, and they all did really well. All of them were over 1 minute. I think the slowest one was like 1:08, which was surprisingly by the Rangers, who seem to be, they're still really good, but they seem to be having a little bit of difficulty, at least in the funnel spin, because their stats overall in the friendly round were 2 fourth places, so last places, and 2 first places. So it was interesting to see that they have like this very up and down way of playing, which is probably what got them that win, and then keeps them at the top, because they do have a lot of times that they get the first place, the second place, but I guess balances them out enough, not so they don't win every time, so they don't get they get a couple last places in there or low placements. I mean, even if you look at their points in the previous Marblelympics, I mean they had a bunch of double-digit points, and then they had a bunch of. I mean, they were actually a little kind of even here. They had like 10, 12, 3. I mean, they were kind of even actually. A lot of point numbers between 8 and like 12. So I mean, I guess they performed a little bit differently over the last in the last Marblelympics, but at least in the friendly round, I saw it was up and down. It was crazy. It was last first, which was interesting. But yeah, they got last in the funnel spin with a 1:08 time, I think. Very competitive, by the way, up there at the top. So even if you get last, if you're in that friendly round, you're in the top 4, and that's just, it's going to be hard. And the Midnight Wisps got second in there, and actually, something I want to mention about them, and I think this is one of the reasons why they're underrated. They got 3 second places and 1 third, but 3 second places through the whole friendly round. They finished the friendly round. I believe they finished. They finished third in the friendly round, which was okay, but they had this mad consistency, 3 second places in the first 3 events, but they seem to be more, I mean, at least less drive than the other teams. I'm not saying they don't have drive. Obviously, you have to have drive to win the Marblelympics, but they seem to have less drive than these top teams like the Savage Beaters and the Rangers, I mean, who just go out for those first places. That's what they go for every time. And they just seem to have a little bit less drive. They're just a very solid, steady, good team, getting the second places like 3 times in a row. And I'm not saying they don't have drive. They definitely do. I'm just saying that it seems like the Rangers, the Oceanics, the Savage Beaters, they seem to edge them out a little bit every time, which is what happened here in the friendly round. But they finished second in the funnel spin. The Oceanics, like I said before, got first. Great time. Beat the record set in the initial funnel spin in the qualifiers, which you would expect that from one of these top teams. And just it was a great match. I mean, they just went at it. They really went at it in that first initial spin. Every funnel was a battle. I mean, I think one time Rangers or Savage Speeders dropped through a couple quickly, but besides that, it was round and round every time. No quick drops really, except for those couple. I mean, it was just hardcore, definitely, with these marbles. And I mean, you'd expect that from the top teams, and they definitely showed that. And I'm excited to see how they perform in this year's Marblelympics with the new teams like the Green Ducks and the Indigo Stars coming out already performing really well in the qualifiers. Old teams like Team Galactic and Crazy Cat's Eyes showing some real good improvement this year. But definitely they don't seem like they're slacking off at all. Except for the Savage Speeders. I'm a little bit wary about their performance. If you look at their performance, they had, I think, 2 lasts, a third, and a second. They didn't win any event. They only got second in one event. I believe that was the water event at the end. And they were just underperforming. I mean, now you can't really make a judgment call off this because they seem to be performing they seem to be up with the other marbles all the time in every event. It's just, they just were edged out a little bit by the other teams every single event. And so I'd like to see how, first of all, they're going to feel about this. That might affect their mental mindset, either negatively or positively, going into this these 2019 Marblelympics. But I mean, they're probably going to be practicing a lot. Savage Speeders coach is hardcore. I mean, you get a last place. I mean, you're running for like full day. They're not going to have an easy preparation time with these performance in the friendly round. I'm sure it's been very tough the last month of training, but I mean, you got to do what you got to do. They're out here to win. We know people don't like this team as much as like the Rangers, but they are out here to win, and you got to respect that drive that they have. Rangers win the block push, the second event, with 97 centimeters, which to me, the block push was the most upsetting event for me in this Marblelympics friendly round. 97 was it. That was the highest push. That was, I mean, the Green Ducks in the qualifiers had a 117 centimeter push. I said this in the other podcast, which was really impressive. I don't know how they did that. 117. Many other teams, or at least a few other teams, had like 106s, 109s, 102s. I mean, and then the highest push in this is 97. That's it. That was it. To me, that's disappointing. They performed really well in all the other events, but, I mean, the highest push from the top 4 competitors to be 97 is just upsetting. Obviously, they're trying to conserve some energy. You can guess that, you can assume that, but, I mean, they didn't seem to be doing that in the other events, and then in the block push, I mean, it's a high-impact event. So maybe they were like, okay, maybe on this one, we're going to stay a little bit easier because we don't want to actually get hurt in the friendly round. But, I mean, 97 is pretty low for top 4 teams. So, I mean, a little disappointing. The Rangers did take that one. Oceanics come from 4th place in the relay race to win with a 10.31 second time, which was good to see. Savage Speeders, I was disappointed. They only got a last place in that event. Relay race, that's their thing. That is what they thrive at. And they could not even pull even more than a last place. But then again, these are the top 4 teams. These are the top 4 teams. We should remember this. The water event, Oceanics unexpectedly used a reserve, which I can understand because they had already almost sealed the victory in the friendly round with a couple of wins over. No. Did they win? No, yes. They already had a couple of wins, so they almost sealed the victory in the friendly round. But, I mean, the Oceanics in general, I mean, you see the last couple of years, water events have been unexpectedly terrible for them as in a water team. But, so, I mean, you'd think you'd put a starter out there to practice, but no, reserve was out there. I guess maybe to give them some practice. Maybe they're looking for new people to compete in their water events because they've been struggling so much, which might have been a smart move. Get Bay out there, the reserve, to work. And he did. Where did they finish? I think they finished third. So, not really that great. Then again, these are the top 4, like I said. So, but it was a very close water event. So, third and first were not even a second apart, or at the very most a second apart. But Oceanics did go on to win the full friendly, which was good. The O'Rangers second, Midnight Wisps third, and the Savage Beaters, not even with 10 points, 9 points only, fourth. So, the only worry for me here is the Savage Beaters. As a team, obviously still a good team. They didn't seem to be lagging in the event, just a little, didn't seem to get the edge. But that would be my only small worry. Obviously, it seems like these teams are very on top of it, still very good, and still going to be tough names to beat here in the 2019 Marblelympics. And I'm excited to see how they perform, especially against newer teams like the Green Ducks, who just go crazy and set new records, like a 117 centimeter block push, which paled in comparison to any push, even with these top 4. So, that's all for the friendly round. We are coming closer, ever closer, to this first Marblelympics event. We are about 3 weeks out, 3 weeks away. Probably going to be one more episode between now and the Marblelympics first event, maybe two, if I have a lot of topics. But because there's other marble sports, I spent most of this podcast talking Marblelympics, and it's good. This is a pretty Marblelympics based podcast because of that fan-made team competition coming to an end, as well as the friendly round being undiscussed so far. But next episode we'll have a lot of other marble sports related events in it. Just to name a few news going on besides Gels Marble Runs and his Marblelympics. And the San Marble Rally, by the way, that Gels Marble Runs makes is coming out soon, I believe in the summer. So just be aware of that as well. And we'll talk that, of course. But, MSPN, big news for them. Untalked about yet for some reason here. They partnered with the channel Marblelympics. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a Spanish channel. Actually does really well. Millions of people watch that channel. And their partnership, and I would love to get Hershey, the creator of MSPN, or of course a high member in MSPN, to come on here and discuss all the inner workings of this partnership. But the main thing here is that someone from MSPN is going to do the commentary for the Marblelympics Spanish channel's stuff in English, so that English viewers can watch it, which is going to just explode his channel like twice as much. To be honest, he gets like 40 million views sometimes on his videos. He might even be able to hit the 100 mil, which will be very exciting to see a Marble Sports channel do so well. And I don't know. I'd like to see Gels Marble Runs continue to do better. I think he's one of the best channels out there, maybe even the best, with his professionality and creativity. But Marblelympics, great to see another Marble Sports channel doing so well. And then having the partnership. MSPN, as we know, Marble Mayhem coming up in the next couple of weeks, another event. M Games coming up soon. We don't know when, maybe a month or two to start. And Marblade's coming up in a month or so to start. So a lot of things coming from them and that partnership. They are really doing a lot of big things, trying to make some moves to become a more prominent Marble Sports channel. I'd go check out MSPN. I would go check out Marblelympics. I would go check out Gels Marble Runs. Those are probably the 3 biggest channels and main channels we will discuss here on the podcast, because they are the biggest worldwide channels at the moment. Besides them, we do have some other channels. We have smaller channels like the Lucky Titan YouTube channel is doing a marble tournament, and he got a Plinko board and is going to do a Plinko event, and I'm just so excited to watch that. That will definitely be talked about here just because it's so creative, and I just want to see how that goes. So definitely be ready to check that out. It will be coming out probably within a couple of weeks, so just be ready to check that out. Marbles for Autism YouTube channel, smaller channel, doing a marble tournament as well. Definitely check them out. Channel TY Domino Guy does marble racing. I actually do the commentary for his videos. You can go see the recent ones with commentary. There are 2 up to watch. He does more racing. He might be doing a marble tournament, so check him out. Outside of that, I mean, there are other marble channels. I don't know really all of them, and trust me, if you write in MSW podcast or voice message me, I will and talk about other marble channels. I'll definitely consider speaking about those and like other marble sports events coming up. I know M&H Racing is doing one, but I think he doesn't really want to be talked about on the podcast. I'm not sure why, but everyone has their reasons. So with this said, a lot going on. A lot of marble sports coming up. This is starting to become a real big thing. Another quick thing, and then I really want to talk about this last big event that's happened in the last week here. A kind of a controversial Reddit post before we end out, but one more definitely interesting thing here is another media coming out in marble sports called the Monthly Marble. It's like a magazine, online magazine, and the podcast has partnered with them to try to like line up topics, similar topics. So we're working on that, but definitely go check them out. I don't know if the first thing was posted yet or if they're working on the first post, but definitely be aware of them. If you join the Marble-based Discord, you can probably, a lot of people in there are a part of it. You can ask them. But that's definitely very interesting media. The only other marble media I can think of is the MSPN run marble media, which is pretty good. They've been off and on. I think recently, I don't know if they've had like a talk show or anything, but you can go check them out as well. A lot of shouting out on this channel, I know, but on this episode, I'm not going to do this every time. I'm not going to list every existing marble channel every time we have an episode, but this is the beginning, I do want to just get out there all the information, all the different media on all the different channels there are out there, so you can go watch them, and then you can come talk to me about them, the big news and mail and voice messages and things like that, so that I can talk about the important things or the fan wanted things. So I'm just putting all the information out there. You guys should just check those things out, because I'm going to be covering, especially when Marblelympics starts and MSPN gets going a lot more, I'm going to be talking those a lot. So if you want other things, say it in. You got to email, you got to voice message to have those talked about. Definitely. So the last thing I want to discuss before we close out today is this very, not super controversial, but pretty controversial Reddit post that happened on the Marblelympics Reddit page about a week ago, I'd say. It's and you can find this the actual post on Twitter by @Hornets_2019, winner of the fan made contest. They are a very good team. I'm not having this discussion to knock them at all, but this is what they did here. That is the discussion. It's a discussion that has 2 sides, so just listen first and then make a decision. Team Hornets posted, "We tried riding a fidget spinner, not as easy as it looks. Guys, join us and let's all do the Fidget Marble Challenge, #Fidget Marble Challenge." And then he added a lot of teams and Marblelympics things. And then there's a picture of the marbles on a fidget spinner spinning around. Now, many of you might be wondering, what is wrong with this? Okay, but you need to have some background first, and I'll provide that for you right now. In the 2017 Marblelympics, there was an event, a discontinued event as far as I know, which is disappointing because it was a good event, called Fidget Spinner Collision. And how the event works is, and this came off of Collision, which was in 2016 Marblelympics, which is an event where 2 teams come down. They come in at 2 opposite sides of a platform. They collide, as in the name, and then the goal is to keep as many marbles on the platform as you can. There's lightweight, easy pushable blocks on the side that can help you stay on, but it won't keep you on. And so the first time they did it, it was just a collision in the 2016 Marblelympics, and then the 2017 they added fidget spinners, which are which is what we call them in the marble world. They're a lot more dangerous because they're a lot bigger than they appear here, and they move quite fast, and they would really fly some marbles around. I would recommend watching just at least that one event from the 2017. Had you not seen it, look up Fidget Spinner Collision Marblelympics, and you can take a look at the event. But it's a very hardcore event, probably most hardcore of all the events that we've seen. And what happened was Team Momo in that event came down in the collision. I forget what team they were versing. I don't think it's relevant to this point anyway. But they came down, they collided, they hit that fidget spinner. They were injured terribly. It was a chip injury to Momo, which is a mouthful, but that's the name of the marble that was injured. And Momo is done, as far as I know. He's done. Completely done with any Marblelympics pursuits. I believe Momo, I forget if they were in the 2016 or if they just started in the 2017, but even then, early into career, very early into career, because of this injury. And it was a serious injury. It took him out. They had to bring the reserve in, and Mimo, who was the reserve, did a great job adapting. He started out a little shaky, but he really started to adapt. He was performing at least up with the par with the Team Momo and how the other members have been doing lately. So it was good to see him rise up, but I mean, wow. I mean, we know Momo just had a difficult history in general, as they had to combine between primary last year with more injuries, and that snow marble thing, and snow marble race, don't call it a thing. But, I mean, but just this was the beginning of their difficulties, and this was a very big deal. I mean, he's done. It's not just like something you can Band-Aid up and send him back out there. He's done racing. There is no more Momo in the Marblelympics. And that's a big event. I mean, you heard him. He's done. I mean, his career's over. He trained for a long time. Tons of competitions, tons of training for this, and he's done. So the two sides taken here on this post, and the post, here's the title of the post. Is it just me, or was this post really insensitive to Team Momeri, treating such dangerous equipment as some kind of toy? And this was by the poster, who posted this? Oh, it's by, man, I shouldn't say this out loud. It's by F the group chat. Insert the word for F. That's the poster's name. We try to keep it, we'll go over the rules of how we try to keep it on the Marblelympics, the MSW podcast here as far as cursing and stuff goes. But I'm not going to say that at least right now. So F the group chat was his name. Insert the word for F there. He was the poster of this Reddit post. And it got pretty controversial chat going. Some responders, like this guy named Cubic Tony, said that this was all part of the sport. The injury isn't the injury. It could have happened to anyone. Team Hornets did not make fun of them. They were trying to make the fidget spinner more less of a big deal and a big scary thing. And he says it can be avoided by practicing these injuries and they were trying to make Momeri or Momo an inspiration. He was going that route. It was positive. It was a good way to bring it back into light. We have comments like "lost my support." Just, and I don't like these comments because even if they are true, they're undescriptive. So if you just comment "lost my support" because someone posts something like that and then it's ridiculed, well, then you're not really saying anything to back that up. You're just saying, "I lost my support," shaking my head. He put that, shaking my head. Just not very descriptive. But we had a few more descriptive negative comments. Let's see. Someone was like, "Time to go change my vote. This hit me hard as a Momo bro myself." This guy, that was Marble Maestro. Science Will says, "But I'm not sure I can continue to support them after such reckless and insensitive behavior. Those things aren't toys," which I think is a very interesting point. And this guy, this other guy was like, "Problematic faves." And then a couple other people were like, Hornets guy himself responded with, haha, we meant no harm to Team Momeri, or Momo in particular. In fact, it might be a great challenge for him to overcome his demons. Would love seeing that. Controversy, obviously. Or people like to perpetuate drama. But I think this is a big topic. And I'd like to hear you guys also talking about this. Obviously, our weekly challenge is the O challenge. See how long you hold that. But this is also something I would consider saying or discussing fan thoughts on. But just a lot of back and forth, and a lot of people think, and like that one guy said, I mean, this is insensitive, those things aren't toys. He has a big point, because they aren't toys, they injured a marble, they are equipment used in events. They are very dangerous. If you hit those wrong, if you had fans and stuff playing with those things, people are going to get hurt. Marbles are going to get hurt. And he has a point. On the other hand, the other guy also has a point. I mean, he says it's part of the sport. This is part of the sport. It's not insensitive of the Hornets because they weren't doing it to make fun of Momo inability to conquer the spinner. But they were doing it to raise support and just raise awareness and just kind of have a fun time as a new team trying to get the word out. I totally get that. Especially as a new team trying to get their word out to the public that they exist. We're trying to push it. Maybe a little fad here. Fidget Marble Challenge. Pretty good, pretty cool. I understand what this guy's saying. Here's where I disagree. And here's my thought. Because I'm going to give an opinion. Because while I like to try to keep it somewhat unbiased, I'm going to tell you what. This podcast will be a podcast where I'm truthful and give my real thoughts. So I will give opinions on matters like this of my own. Because I don't want this to be just news, but I want to also have a lot of opinions in it. Because it's a good discussion. And I will give my opinion. And my opinion is it is more disrespectful and insensitive than it is not. And the reason I say this is one of the reasons, at least, is that I disagree with the Cubic Tony's comment, who was one of the guys who's really supporting this movement, said that this can be avoided by practicing. This situation cannot be avoided by practicing. It really cannot. You can't avoid getting injured on equipment that's spinning very fast, moving very fast, and is in the field of play by practicing. Collision is a very hardcore event where you're surprised almost that there aren't more injuries, and that it's not something you can avoid by practicing more. It's something that you could probably avoid by not practicing more almost, because that means you won't have to do as much high impact, and that's why this event is not the most highly practiced event. You don't want to hurt your players before they go into it. And while there is preparation, remember these marbles are very strong, very well built on the outside, very strong, good, thick outer shells. And I mean, to injure one of these is hard. And if a fidget spinner can do that, equipment can do that, it's very dangerous. And it cannot be avoided by practicing, because when you hit that spinner, if you fly off and you get chipped, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it's going to happen. You're gonna collide. You're gonna bump off marbles. You don't even know what's going to happen. You can get chipped by the spinner if you hit it the wrong way. This cannot be avoided. It cannot be avoided. So to say it can be fixed by practicing, I disagree with. I think it is a little bit insensitive. Am I going to knock Hornets for it at all? No. I don't want anyone to hate on the Hornets for this. They're just trying to get the word out as a new team. But as a situation, I would say it's a little insensitive. Like the guy said again, those things are not toys. They're equipment. So I don't think that the post was a good idea, just because of the dangerous of the equipment. I understand the other side's point, but this, to me, is just a little bit overboard, or a little bit too dangerous. Now, do I think they really get at Momeri here or Team Momo here? No, I don't. But I think we should not, I think this should not become something that, like a fad or something that all the Marblelympics teams are doing. Because it's not, then it becomes insensitive. Because then all these Marblelympics teams are on top of the spinner, and Momo has to sit there, already not qualified. Their fans are a little upset, and they have to see all the Marblelympics teams spinning around the spinner that they're one of their best players was injured on, and can never play again. So it should just be kept down. Hornets probably won't do this again. but it was a little insensitive, and you have to be careful with this dangerous equipment. But yeah, give me your thoughts on this. I think it was a little insensitive, but you give me thoughts. And I do think that's all for the day. So I'll leave you with that. MSWpodcast@gmail.com. At Guy Marble, our Twitter. I forgot to say this. At GUYYMARBLE is our Twitter. Anchor Podcast, SoundCloud. Look up MSW Podcast. We're going to try to get on YouTube soon. This is all for you guys. We want to hear from you. Voice messages, emails, and we want to get your thoughts out there. Your opinions on these teams, on the situation, on everything. And with that, guys, we go to our outro song, which today is Time Leaper by the artist Hinkick. I love this song, and I hope you guys love it as well. And I hope you guys have a great week and enjoy the Marblelympics 2019. Have a good night.